morning, everyone. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills again, and I have a couple of projects in mind today. And first of all, I do have to can another batch of chicken stock, so I will definitely be doing that. As well as canning the chicken stock, I had in mind to do some oven canning. And I'm certainly not a fan of oven canning, and I'm very cautious what I dry can in the oven, and it would be just dry canning. It would not be anything that would have to go into, say, a water bath canner or in a pressure canner. And I was going to oven can my breadcrumbs. Back in January, I bought a great big huge bag of breadcrumbs for about $10 from a bakery. And I put it into half-gallon jars, and my accessory vacuum sealer on my food saver vacuum sealer no longer works. And I thought that I had been unable to vacuum seal those bread jars, but I checked them today and they're sealed tight, so it must have broken after I did that and not before, which is fine. So they do not need to be oven canned. I was going to take the precaution and oven can them rather than have them just sit there with a closed lid. So I still am going to focus on doing some oven canning today, and what I'm going to substitute as opposed to the breadcrumbs would be rice. Now, rice is probably another one of those items, and it's white rice, that I would have no qualms about oven canning. But today I'm just going to oven can some rice to show you what the process is. And as I say, it's not my preferred method. If I had my vacuum sealer working, I would be vacuum sealing my rice through the accessories. Now, the other option I have, of course, is to put it in bags, and I may do some of that as well. But today's video is based on how to do some oven canning. Okay, here we go. Okay, first things first, I have the oven preheated to 200 degrees, and we're going to fill up these jars and put them on a shelf in the oven. They say at least an hour. I'm going to leave it longer than that. It doesn't hurt to leave it longer, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've got 2 bags of rice here. I suspect we'll only be using one of them with these 5 jars that I've got ready today. And this is what I'm doing, just the 5 jars today. And I'll do this first, get these in the oven, and then set up for my chicken stock. Yes. I have no idea how many jars this bag will take. It claims it's 8 kg. Don't know how many pounds that would be, but I think it's 20 pounds. And this is just long grain white rice, and this is what we use in our home. And of course, it's the most stable for long-term storage quantity. And just for interest's sake, I'll do this now before I fill up all the jars. Find out exactly how much a jar of rice will weigh. Okay. The jar itself is 754 grams. Zeroing that out and putting another full jar on top, and that is 1,533 grams. Now let's see what that is in pounds. Pounds Okay, it's still zeroed out here, which is great. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe we should find out how much an empty jar weighs in pounds. So it weighs 1 pound, 10.6 ounces. Oh yes, and we have to zero that out. And now this is no lid and no ring on top. So we've got 3 pounds, 6.1 ounces per jar. So that's a good amount of rice. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. So it'll be 15 pounds, 16 pounds of rice at least that goes into 5 jars. This scoop may be just a little bit large for what I'm doing, or I shouldn't fill it up quite as much. And I won't have as much difficulty with it. Ready to go into the oven, and we do not put a lid on them. They just go into the oven dry. And some say to put them on a tray, but I think I'm okay with just 5 jars to handle them like this. And I will obviously be using gloves to take them out. Although a 200-degree oven is not a terribly hot oven. Okay, and I will set my timer for an hour and a half. Okay, now back to my chicken stock. Got my vinegar ready. I have got my lids in hot water. I've got a dozen pint jars ready with rings as well, and my wand. And I don't need to debubble because this is a liquid. Now, I guess the one thing that I'm doing slightly different is that I strained my chicken this morning early, and therefore it is no longer hot. So I am just putting warm water in my canner. I'm not going with hot water in my canner. I've got warm water in there, and it has not been turned on, and it will not be turned on until these are loaded. So I have 6, 8, 9 full jars here. And I'm just going to clean off the rims now, put a lid and a ring on, and put them in the canner. Now back to the rice, since I do have my chicken stock all set up in the canner and I have some rice in the oven canning. You may have noticed that I have a second bag of rice, and I was just going to leave this in its original container, and I decided instead that I would vacuum seal pouches. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut and make some pouches right now, and then we'll vacuum seal the rice as well. Okay, and this bag of rice is 8 kg, which is just over 17.5 pounds. Okay, and Today I'm going to use this bucket to hold my pouches so that I don't lose rice all over the place. Hopefully that works. We'll see what happens. Anyway, and my big scoop. It doesn't really hold the bag open, but I still have to use one of my hands to hold it open. But as we fill it up, that should improve. See what we've got here. Oh, I can add a bit more. Now I've made 4 pouches. I'll probably need a few more than that, but we'll do that to start off with. And hopefully I haven't made them too large. Okay. See how this works now. Could be a little over full. I think it is. And it gets hard pretty quickly, so I did try to flatten it out as much as I could before it sealed. Because after that, there's no moving this. Okay, it is one solid brick. On to pouch number 2. Seem to not have filmed the little clip where I took these out of the oven. I thought I had, so I'm redoing this right now after the fact. So what you do is you take each jar out of the oven carefully, don't burn yourself, and put a brand new dust off the top. Make sure that there's no dust, and put a brand new lid. Don't use a used one for this. And then just put your ring on, set it aside, and wait for everything to cool slowly. So once it's all cooled, you should get a vacuum seal. Okay, so that's how you do your oven canning. As I said, it's not my favorite method, but it works for some people. Well, I hope today's video was a bit informative. Now, I don't know if most people recognize that I don't really tell other people how they should do things. I don't necessarily believe that my way is the only way. I know that in Europe they do things that are just so out there compared to what we do here, and yet it works for them. So some may call that rebel canning. I would just prefer to say that there are methods that people have used and have been successful using, and there are methods that have been tested here and approved as correct methods. I do what works for me, and I recommend that most people do what works for them. Just take all the precautions that you can to make sure your food is safe. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day.